I really like swings.
I haven't been on a swing in a long time.
I've had really great meditation experiences on swings.
Oh, I can imagine.
You know, like Sufi dancers? Have you ever seen that?
Probably not. I don't know.
Sufi dancers are just like, it's a type of trance they get in. Like, it's like a trance meditation. They just spin.
Oh,
I've seen it. They just spin for like an hour.
Yeah,
They're
I've heard
just
of it.
spinning. It's
They
crazy.
go to outer space, right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I've seen it. It's amazing.
Even though realization is already complete, the conditionings of the body, emotions, instincts will still, in most cases, just operate habitually. Like, for example, someone can very clearly see there is no self, they're not close to their thoughts, and their self-story is not so sticky anymore. It's very permeable and amorphous, but, their nervous system still contracts under stress, or certain relational patterns don't reflect quite yet the openness that they actually know and feel. We see that a lot in relationships. Even I've experienced that in myself, having sort of those same, even in romantic relationship patterns that I had pre-quote-unquote awakening. So awakening is, happening through different centers of our being. There's head awakening, there's heart awakening, and there's body or belly awakening. Like we say, head, heart, belly. It's kind of like body, speech, mind, this thing in Buddhism. So a head awakening is about insights and can be clarity. And awakening in the mind, seeing no self, that kind of like liberation insight is, it's common in sort of Zen or contemplation, and it's just really suitable to the West as well. That was I was like top down awakening. Mine came through reading some books, and kind of having the intellectual not even understanding, like intellectual insights, you can say. And then I had a lot of like insights and through koans and these types of things, but it was very like in the mind, like the mind blew open, wide open first. It was like clear, spacious, luminous mind. And then later on, I brought in the body and the heart. The heart is my awakening that I'm still working on more and more. To me and to many people, especially in the West, I can mostly speak from what it's like from a Westerner, because that's who I am. To me, the heart is the more challenging aspect. But the body awakening is very suited to something like Sufism, and body awakening is also more common for shamanistic, is that a word? Like shamans, what's it called? Like, like Stage Purple, Spiral Dynamics, tribal is the word I'm looking for, like tribal cultures, where there's lots of like movement innate to the fabric of that society. So yeah, earth-based spirituality or deep somatic kind of practices, Taoism, tantric practice too as well, can really assist the belly awakening. I do a certain type of movement practice, basically, that is conductive to awakening in the body. Your body is alive and your body is having its own dialogue, and your awakening needs legs. Your awakening needs the body to support itself, to it's like, you're like, let's say you wake up. You know what? Let me just go to something else, actually. The Buddha had his awakenings. It's in a way, he had like, in my opinion, he had more of like a head and heart awakening. And then his body awakening was when people said to him, hey, buddy, you got to come back to our village and you got to teach the people. You know, that's like the embodiment. He you know, he was kind of ready to just go renounce and live in a cave and just be there in his own thing, which is totally, totally understandable. Like, I feel that draw, and it's very, very understandable. But the, part of his embodiment, I feel like, there's many ways to embody, but one of I feel like the Buddha's ways was coming to the people. In my opinion, that gave his awakening legs. He was walking in his realization, which is very important. It's very important because there's going to be that desire after you have some fucking blow your socks off across the galaxy awakenings to just take that and go sit with it alone and just be with that, because you're like, oh, I can't, no matter how many words there are in the infinity of languages, there's never going to be enough words to tell somebody, oh, this is how you become realized. Even that is a load of bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. So there is that propensity, that draw, that's very deep and innate to just fuck off and just fuck off and not share it. So, the embodiment and, it's sharing it and moving forward with that is also heart entry awakening. And as you know, we can get into that a little bit, which is, shattering the heart open, or like explosion in the heart of like compassion and radical love and kind of like this quality of devotion. I think it's a Sanskrit word, like bhakti, like that kind of sense of you can really feel like a sense of separation, relationship kind of dissolving, really being able to touch things like grief and these very like heavy, hardy sorrow, grief, these kind of things. I guess, what? Christian mysticism has a lot of heart. I remember reading A Course in Miracles, stuff like this, and other things too, just like random, more obscure Christian mysticism stuff. I also hear like bhakti yoga. I don't do that so much, but I guess bhakti is, that's like devotion yoga. And that one's just, in my opinion, a little bit less common in our society. Like, in Buddhism, I do a lot, within a Buddhist practice, I do some practices like Chinrezi. Chinrezi is the bodhisattva of compassion, 1,000-arm Chinrezi. And then there's like meditations of kind of like visualization of pink lotus in the heart, and loving kindness meditation, you call that. So, it's going on in those kind of cultures as well. But I just think it's a little bit further away for us to access in the West. And it's actually crucial. Awakening and spirituality can be destabilizing if it's not integrated with the heart, and then of course also the body. But I have seen this to happen to someone very dear to me. His awakening was he had a full-blown like head awakening, but he was like an airplane that was high up soaring around, but he had no runway or like airport to land down in. And not even that, like if the airport landing ground was his legs, the embodiment quality of his awakening, he didn't have like some people to come and help him unload the airplane and blah, blah, blah. And that crew or quality could be considered the heart. So he's like, even if he landed down, he'd just be stuck on the landing. He'd be stuck on the, what's it called? He'd be stuck on the launch pad or whatever it's called. Like, anyways, I just thought of this metaphor right now, and it's a little bit crazy. But if we think about awakening as like a little bit of a triad pyramid, you could have like the airplane up in the sky being the head awakening. You could have the runway where the plane lands be the body, but then you could have like the people and the crew and all of those additional factors be the heart. And you're not going to be able to get off your airplane and unload and have the whole process of a flight, okay, because this metaphor is about a flight, but you wouldn't have that process without all of those qualities. You need the support, you need the compassion, the people, the heart, you need compassion. You need the ground to land on, and then you need the actual insight that takes you off and blows you open, which is like the head awakening. So yeah, head awakening about clarity and kind of insights, body, belly awakening, totally equally important, and they give us roots and foundation and vitality. You'll get completely drained without those things, I promise. I had a awakening for like a whole year without, luckily for me, I was doing embodiment accidentally because I was doing yoga, and my yoga obviously transcended past just like standard postures to like something much more intuitive. But luckily I had the support of that. But yeah, enough about me. I'm just trying to say that you'll eventually get drained if you keep going without some embodiment. So yeah. There's different ways to do that. I know I'm just like saying things. Right now I'm just focusing on like why that's important, but there's obviously ways to integrate that movement. There'll be other videos on this channel about embodiment. That's my favorite kind of aspect to focus on right now for others and for myself. Of course, it's for myself, so it's for others. Yeah. Okay, so that's about it for this video. If you like that, subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more coming in the future. Like this video too, if you feel like it, and be blessed.